The global digital stage. I'm sure you've heard of it. Following months of strategic planning and negotiations, our nation has become one of the first countries worldwide to join OpenAI's Education for Countries initiative, a groundbreaking program designed to transform education systems and workforce development through artificial intelligence. And this achievement comes at a pivotal moment as the former Ministry of Public Administration and the Ministry of Digital Transformation merged in May 2025 to form the Ministry of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence, and what can be boldly described as a commitment to by the government to innovation and digital transformation. Leading this charge is Senator the Honorable Dominic Smith, Minister of MPAAI, whose minister recently secured a historic partnership with OpenAI, positioning Trinidad and Tobago alongside countries like Estonia, Greece, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates. Today we chat with Minister Smith to discuss what this partnership means for education, public service, and the future of our nation. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, good morning.
It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
I see you had a really busy weekend.
Yeah, we were in Tobago, we were doing fun things.
Yeah, I saw you you participated in a crab race.
I want to tell you that I won that race.
You won! Did you cook the crab? You were asking for curry powder.
You know what, I'm not too good in the kitchen. I let others do
So next time bring it for us. But congrats on the crab race.
Thank you, thank you.
So Minister Smith, congratulations on this historic achievement, OpenAI. But before we get into the partnership, let's start with the ministry's transformation. In May 2025, two ministries were merged to form this current ministry. Why was this change necessary, in your opinion, and what message does this send to the nation?
Yes, well, let me first say good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. A bright and sunny Monday morning, and to your listening and viewing public, I want to wish them a beautiful week ahead. You know, the concept of merging two ministries is always something that some people seem as strange, but this was a natural fit. You have on one hand, you have the public service and the administration of the public service through the Ministry of Public Admin. And then you had the ministry that was created for digital transformation to really bridge the gap between, I would say, the old and the new. With AI and advanced technology emerging globally as not only as a buzz concept, but as a practical philosophy, we thought it necessary, and through the leadership of the Prime Minister, to modernize the public service and advance modern technology in the same vein. So the combination really is a natural fit. We have, on one end, we want to train and develop and upskill public servants. We want to integrate technology into the public service so that we could create efficiency. And digital transformation on its own, you know, it can do so much, but when we integrate it into the public service now, we can see the efficiency gains, we can see cost reduction, we can really expand the knowledge base of the human capital for Trinidad and Tobago, and that was the plan.
So let's talk about our rapidly digitizing global economy. How does this new ministry structure better position Trinidad and Tobago to compete in this type of economy? Yeah,
it's really a basic concept that, you know, you either are exporters or importers of technology. And typically, the history of the Caribbean, even from our colonial past, has been that we have been net importers of technology. We look at all of the software services that we use within the ministry. We look at the social media channels that we utilize. All of these are, quite frankly, imported technology. And what we wanted to do was, as a country, because artificial intelligence is new, it's now forming its foundation. The world over, not solely Trinidad, has been grappling with its effect and its impact. And so we wanted to be not just participants of the product, but we wanted to expand our reach and actively be involved in the shaping of how it will be used in the Caribbean and, of course, Latin America as well.
So let's talk about this accomplishment. Trinidad and Tobago is now part of OpenAI's Education for Countries initiative. That's correct, right?
Correct.
Now, this places us in the first cohort of countries globally.
Yes, correct.
Can you explain in simple terms to everyone what the initiative is and why is this so significant for us? What does this partnership represent for our nation?
Well, fundamentally, it represents a vision. Right? A vision to be leaders in the space, a vision to be the leaders in technology, and also to to really craft new avenues for revenue generation through the ICT sector. That's what we're trying to do, build models that can now derive revenue for the country outside of our traditional sectors. That's one. Secondly, OpenAI is a $1 trillion company. It's one of the first companies globally to hit that $1 trillion US dollar mark, right? So it's not a small ask when a country such as ours with 1.4 million people, with an annual budget of 60 billion, we are part of that unique cohort through the vision of the Prime Minister, but also through the dedication of the ministry, looking for these multilateral organizations to see what knowledge transfer can be gained from them. And so we embarked upon that about 4 months ago, during my first trip to New York through the UNGA. Many would have seen that we've been participating with conversations with stakeholders, with organizations such as the UN, UNESCO, the UNDP, and by extension, a part of that global setting, several companies were also participants in and around this space. So we began to have a conversation with the experts in AI. Naturally, the ministry is an AI-driven or layered ministry, and we wanted to see what is being done globally and how can we benchmark what is best practice. So conversations happen, a lot of several meetings after, and it resulted in Trinidad and Tobago being selected among many countries, 180 plus, to be part of what they call the ChatGPT EDU, right? And that's no small task. So it's a big congratulations to the ministry and the team, a big congratulations to the Prime Minister, of course, and by extension, the citizens of Trinidad. Now, what can that bring for us? Well, one, we are leading the charge. That's one. We are early adopters, and early adopters are typically the countries that benefit the most. What are we trying to accomplish with it? Well, it's twofold. We have the challenge where technology is advancing at such a rapid pace. We have to also couple that with the advancement of the human capital development. So persons would be trained, they would be supplied with information, obviously, through ChatGPT and through OpenAI as a company. We'll also be doing a number of initiatives within schools, partnering with the Ministry of Education to really seamlessly integrate artificial intelligence as a tool in the learning environment. By extension, for the public service, what this does is that it takes routine tasks that they would typically do and essentially make it more efficient, allow them parts for efficiency within the public service so that they can now go on to more tasks, do different things. And so it's an advancement, it's an efficiency creation, and by extension, on the aggregate level, the country will see a reduction in costs that the public sector typically incurs. And we're excited by that cost saving.
So OpenAI has already deployed tools like ChatGPT EDU in countries like Estonia, as we spoke about before. What lessons are we learning from these pilot countries that TNT can take?
I think for one, the kids are, as much as possible, learning rapidly. It allows and facilitates the transfer of knowledge a lot more quickly. There's more interaction as well. So in terms of the psychology of the child and how they learn and develop, it allows them to do this more rapidly. By extension, they're progressing more quickly in what would be typical learning spaces. And I think that's important for us as we train and develop our young ones to adapt to the changing work environment, right? In 30 years, I believe, not 30 years, sorry, in the next 5 to 10 years,
yeah.
40% of the jobs in the market will change.
I saw that.
I know you do your research,
yeah,
so you would see that,
that was
right?
my next question, actually.
Yeah, so we can either be prepared for that change or sit on the sidelines and not be participants in that economy. We don't want that for our future generation, and so the education component is very important. What about the public servants?
Yeah.
We expect that our human capital, in fact, has always been top tier in terms of our literacy rates, etc. And what we haven't had, though, is a more strategic approach to future employment. So yes, you may start your career in the public service, but what opportunities are outside of the public service, even internationally, that our nationals can engage in? I think if we train on upskill our staff in the public service for the new jobs, the new workforce, then they themselves can have more equality in terms of opportunities, and by extension advance themselves and essentially their families.
But not just train, but also certify.
Correct.
That's also very important.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. So the certification will also come as well as a byproduct of the training, and that can be used not only in Trinidad. It can be used regionally. It can be used across the globe.
So let's talk about the government ministries and implementing AI. That's always a conversation that once this ministry was created, the merge happened, that was always something on the table. How can AI improve the efficiency and transparency, especially with the services in your government ministries?
Yeah, I think the most important thing with the AI is not just the technology, but it's the insights that it will derive, right? What do I mean by insights? Well, the world is moving towards, and has moved, even the private sector, towards KPIs, right? What are your performance metrics? The vision is that each ministry would have a performance dashboard. They would have a way in which they can, judge themselves above the average. And see what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. So the technology is really not for its own use. It's really to modernize as much as possible, provide valuable insights, use the data to then say, okay, what are the policy decisions that can come out of this? So, as an example, maybe in the public service, there's an opportunity for us to look at, the technology that we use internally. Do we buy more than we need to use, right? That's something that the artificial intelligence technology can demonstrate to us, right? So buy once, share many times as a concept. That also brings into the question the silos that have been established across ministries. You'd have one ministry in education, as an example, using Microsoft. They've bought 100 licenses. In the Ministry of Public Admin, we've bought 1,000. Education, over the course of one budgeted year, might use 10 of those. MPA might use 900. But there's spare capacity now that can be transferred. How do we know there's spare capacity? So we must have the systems in place to, one, give us the insights, give us the information, and then use that information to now benefit the wider society, remove the wastage, and by extension, reduce the costs to the government.
I know more than many ministries, your job and your ministry is one that's rapidly evolving. There's always something happening with AI, and it's such a dynamic situation. So, from the family group chats and all the fake news from the aunties and everything going on, and sometimes they'll bring something to you and say, "Look, you didn't see this, but it's actually AI." So you have a really tough job, especially having a ministry that's dedicated to AI.
No.
With AI adoption comes concerns about ethics, even data privacy, but most of all, misinformation. So how is the government ensuring that AI is implemented responsibly?
Yeah, when I'm asked this question, I think it's a very important question. With AI and with most technology, there's massive amounts of opportunity, but as you rightly put, there's also quite a bit of risk. And early on, when we looked at what the more developed nations were doing and how they were treating with it, we realized very quickly that it's a work in progress, right? So one, the public needs to understand that this is something that all countries are sort of facing at the same time. There isn't much benchmark in terms of what can be done, but certainly what we have to do is to create guardrails, which we have been doing. We have to sort of create the parameters for use and for ethical use, for safe use. So the ministry, by extension in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, we would have put together a committee which is to debunk fake news, to also deal with scams. Typically the vulnerable fall into these scams, the elderly, etc. So we've put together a ministerial committee to treat with that. We've also set up a committee that deals with issues of cybersecurity and unrelated activity, as you said, fake news and the use of visual technology to essentially trick persons. So we've set up these committees. They're now becoming active, and as time progresses, we'll get the feedback loop coming. We'll do our evaluation, we'll monitor, and we'll take it step by step.
Will these committees also oversee the introduction of AI tools in schools as well?
Yeah,
and to ensure that the young people are protected, right?
Yeah, certainly. So that's definitely down the channel. We have been looking at ways in which we can, as much as possible, get stakeholder feedback. Also, speak to the persons who are in the know, the subject matter experts, get their involvement, get stakeholders from the church, from other other areas of the national community, and really it's a collaborative approach. So we want to be as inclusive as possible and drive change through various stakeholders.
So it goes without saying that Trinidad and Tobago has now been positioned as a regional pioneer in AI adoption. How important is this? I mean, it's bragging rights, yes, but how important is this leadership role within the Caribbean? Because now when other Caribbean countries follow suit, then you can say, well, Trinidad did this before.
Yeah.
So now that's some heavy a heavy burden on your shoulders as the minister of this charge. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, though we love the bragging rights, we're not endeavoring for the bragging rights. The purpose of this is really to advance the people. The Prime Minister has always said any technology and any policy that we would put forward as a government must be people-centered and people-focused. And so it really extends what the mandate of the ministry is. We're trying to create a digital society, one that everyone can use technology, whether you're in Tobago, whether you're Sandy Grande, in South, anywhere, access to technology. And then government services, right? How do we make it more efficient? How do we allow persons to be able to utilize services in one space? That's important for us. And the connectivity of that, and then be a revenue generator as well, right? So we want to use technology, but also not for its own use. We want to be productive citizens. We want to engage in the technology and allow it to then, derive an income for us. So we're challenged by many things, but at the same time, we're excited by the opportunity that the technology will bring and how it will advance the government's agenda. Moving forward.
Minister Smith, what's next for the ministry following this partnership? Can we expect more international collaborations?
I would say definitely so, but the collaborations don't only extend to companies, they extend to organizations. Last week alone, we launched 2 massive initiatives. One is called the ILA, which is the Artificial Intelligence Landscape Assessment. That was done in collaboration with the UNDP, and so we're not taking these advances on our own. We're seeking advice. We're leaning on global partnerships, multilateral organizations that we have good history with to also advance those policies. We also did the random readiness assessment as well, also called the RAM. That was done in connection with the UNDP and the UNESCO. And it really was looking at, are we ready as a society for AI, right? And so all of those things are important because you don't want to, put the cart before the horse, right, as they say. and so we're taking the right steps. We're taking the mature approach to do the assessments and then follow through with what is good strategy and policy. At the end of the day, you will see more partnerships because this road is not to be done alone. The world is also embracing the change. And so I can tell you that in the next weeks, months, there are a number of things that are coming down the pipeline, so the citizens can look forward to more change, but more importantly, change that will affect their lives directly in a positive way.
And hopefully we'll be discussing that on Trinidad and Tobago today. Minister, I like to usually wrap up with a very open question. So there is a common fear that the use of AI is dangerous and a negative thing. Sometimes you tell the older people, well, it's AI, well, that's not good, it does something, or it messes with your brain, or it's a lot of negativity surrounding AI sometimes, especially for the uninformed. What message would you like to send to our viewers this morning and members of the public who may be unsure or even fearful about the rise of AI or the machines are going to take over? What do you want to tell them?
Well, I would tell them, fundamentally trust in God, right? He's our creator and all things are in his hands. We can't be anxious about change as a nation. Specifically, the vulnerable, we need to take care of them. Any concerns are valid concerns. And so the role and responsibility of the government is to guide the change, reduce the impact of change. But I will say that, we're not fighting this battle alone. Globally, many countries have also had to change and adapt. It's not to be fearful, it's to be proactive in our approach. And so that is what the government has been doing. We're not going to be left on the sidelines of the change in technology and this, what they call the new wave of industrial revolution, but we will be active participants in it. And by doing so, we can shape what that means for Trinidad and Tobago. We can shape what artificial intelligence can be for nations such as ours. As a government and through the leadership of the Prime Minister, we've taken the bold step to say we will lead the charge, and we will also help our counterparts across the Caribbean and in Latin America as we learn and do. And so I would say to the national public, it's an optimistic time. 2026 will bring many benefits, many transformations to the citizens and their lives. And me, wearing the other hat, I'm also excited as well for the many things that we have in the coming weeks and months, down the pipeline. So look forward to many, many things.
Yeah, embrace it. So I feel like we all love ChatGPT. I think we can, what's your favorite AI platform?
I use a number.
Okay.
I have to be agnostic because I'm looking at what can benefit all. But I mean I use it.
Yes.
Funny story. Previously, artificial intelligence and most technology were banned in ministries, so you couldn't even use ChatGPT in the ministry.
And now we have a ministry dedicated to artificial intelligence.
Well, as soon as we came in, we said, well, you can't have a ministry named AI and you're not using AI.
Right.
So it's important for us to change the dynamics of even the structure of the ministries and how they work and operate, and what was in the past can't be used in the future if we really want to make an impact on people's lives. So that's the message. Embrace change, and the positive things come from embracing change.
All right. Thank you so much, Senator Dominic Smith, for joining.